What is the largest organism on Earth? You may think of a blue whale or a redwood tree. But in fact, the largest organism on Earth is a parasitic fungus located in the Malheur National Forest in the Blue Mountains of Oregon. The fungal colony stretches about 9.6 square kilometres and weighs up to 35,000 tonnes. Not only is this fungal colony the largest in both size and biomass, but is estimated to be up to 8,500 years old. You might wonder how we discovered it. The humongous fungus was actually found inadvertently in 1998. A team of researchers from the US Forest Service were dispatched to find out what was killing large patches of trees in mid-eastern Oregon. According to aerial surveys, many hectares of forest were experiencing die-offs, and the researchers used these photographs to begin their investigation. They took samples from 112 dead and dying trees and discovered that 95% of them had been infected with honey fungus, a group of parasitic fungi species. Further investigation revealed that more than half of these trees were infected with a single genetically identical fungus, Armillaria solidipes. So why is it so big? Although it is uncertain how this Armillaria colony became so large, two leading theories have been suggested. The first idea is that the organism originally evolved in forests which were sparsely populated and less susceptible to infection, resulting in a selective pressure for the fungus to expand its range in a search for hosts to parasitize. Another theory suggests that in more recent times, natural forest fire cycles have been disrupted, changing both the forest structure and composition. How does it infect trees, you might ask? When one considers fungi, it is often mushrooms that come to mind, but in fact the humongous fungus is primarily underground in a form known as mycelium, an interconnected filamentous white matting. From the mycelium, structures characteristic of fungi species known as rhizomorphs are sent out. These are black, slender fungal tissues which are used to grow through the soil, searching for tree roots to infect. Once the rhizomorphs find their new host, they rapidly colonize the root system and move up into the base of the tree under the bark, where they exert pressure and release digestive enzymes, allowing them to draw water and carbohydrates to feed on, while starving the tree of its nutrients. But how do they know it's a single organism? Well, to answer this question, it is necessary to define what an organism is. A collection of genetically identical cells that can communicate and that have a common purpose or can coordinate themselves collectively. In order to verify if this was true in the case of Armillaria solidipes, the investigators looked at previous research which had shown that genetically identical mycelium will fuse together when encountering each other. In order to determine if the fungal colonies were a single individual, the investigators cultured mycelium from each tree sample in the lab and allowed them to approach each other. As suspected, they fused, indicating that it is one genetically identical individual infecting many trees over a vast area of land. By determining which samples had the greatest distance between them and yet were still capable of fusing, the researchers were able to estimate the colony size. You might wonder how an organism so large can communicate. Scientists have proposed that the fungi communication occurs through the release and detection of information-carrying chemicals that traverse the soil through mycorrhizal networks. Interestingly, plants use these mycelial networks to talk among themselves. So how does it stop itself from fusing with all the other fungi species? Since fusing with other fungi opens the mother species to disease transfer and genetic conflict, fungi colonies have developed a unique system of self-non-self recognition. To determine compatibility, the fungus checks how genetically similar it is to other fungi species. Specific contact zones are spread throughout the colony that measure compatibility when two fungi colonies come in contact. If they're unsuitable for one another, they part ways by compartmentalizing tissue and inducing cell death. It used to be that scientists thought an individual organism was one genome in one body. As our knowledge grows, the simple body plan definition of individuality found in plants and animals needs to be altered to fit new ideas and new forms. Mycologists are starting to think that giant colonies of fungi may be the normal state of mycorrhizal life rather than the exception.